What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I got a couple things that I want to talk to you about today. I'm going to make two videos, two separate topics. The first one is going to be about Tua and about his recovery and so on and so forth. There have been some reports on that, and so I'd like to discuss that a little bit. And then the next video is going to be, it's coronavirus / NFL related / indirectly Dolphins related. So we are going to get into that in the second video, so I'm going to put out a couple videos today. But for now, let's go ahead and start with the Tua updates. So like I said, yesterday there were reports put out about Tua's recovery and how it's going extremely well, and they even used the words miraculous, right? And so, look, you know, the facts are this, right? He sustained a hip injury that was far greater severity, right, than the Barry Sanders injury, right? And because in that case, he Barry Sanders, that is, partially dislocated his hip, right? It came out of the socket just a little bit, not fully, and he was able to pop it back in that instance and then continue playing. Tua, not only did he have a dislocation, not only did the ball come out of the socket, but it broke through the posterior wall, the back wall, and caused a major fracture. Now, it is also true that they were able to set it quickly because obviously we are far more capable with medical response on the field than we were back in the days of Barry Sanders. And so they were able to set it well, and it does look like they were able to, prevent nerve damage and et cetera, which is wonderful. That's wonderful. But he does have it. Look, man, I mean, the dude's taking a beating, and if you're not lying to yourself, then he's injury prone. He is. He absolutely is. And so that's concerning just in and of itself. But throughout this entire process, every single report has been like exceptionally well, just glowing, like as to the max, as literally as positive as it can be, which is a good thing, and that's cool. However, I personally think that he needs to be redshirt this first season, if there's a season at all. In large part because that hip needs more time. Now, even after that, he could still end up sustaining some major injury because he's injury prone, and, if you're being honest, he's frail. And, he's already had massive injuries prior to even getting to the NFL, where the guys are bigger, faster, stronger, and are going to pummel you, especially if you don't have an offensive line, which he's not likely to have. So obviously there's the whole discussion of, is he going to start at all in the season? Is he going to start at the beginning of the year? And these are all very important questions. And so for me, I would unquestionably redshirt him the entire season, no matter what. I think the likelihood is that they will put him in at some point during the season. I find it inconceivable that he won't play at all. Having said that, I'm not sure if he's going to end up being in week 1. There is a lot to suggest that he could be, but it is still up in the air, and we likely won't know until it actually happens. Although if training camp opens and then we start getting rave reviews for Tua in training camp, then there is a distinct possibility he could start week 1. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this article, though, because it's what Tua Tagovailoa's fast recovery means for Miami. Tua Tagovailoa's recovery is moving right along, and it is looking like a greater possibility that he is ready to go once the regular season begins. It just remains to be seen if he will start week 1 or at some point this season. After a report on Sunday that described Tagovailoa's recovery and progress as miraculous, incumbent Miami Dolphins starter Ryan Fitzpatrick's grip on the job might be slipping. For former receiver and current NFL Network analyst Nate Burleson, the pressure is on the Dolphins to play Tagovailoa. Speaking on Monday's Good Morning Football, Burleson says all eyes will be on Tagovailoa during games, no matter the situation. And I think this is going to be absolutely true. Okay, We'll get into this in a second, but I think that it is absolutely true that, especially if the team's not playing well on the field, then they're absolutely going to be panning over to Tua to see him on the sidelines and see what he's doing. How's he being engaged? Blah, blah, blah. Or are they finally at some point going to put him in, right? All that stuff. But here's what he says. If Tua starts, or if he's a backup watching Ryan Fitzpatrick, watch how many times the camera pans to Tua during the game. Burleson said, Tua is going to be a superstar. Well, there's no guarantee of that, but they're going to give him the attention of a superstar unquestionably. He's already getting it. But that's part of what makes this whole thing, to me, a recipe for disaster, because the expectations are going to be so high that there's a substantial chance that they put him in way too early, which to me at any point during this season would be way too early. Then they stand a substantial likelihood, especially if these guys that they get or that they got that they say are going to fix the offensive line issues, if they don't, and he has a terrible offensive line, well, I mean, it's just a recipe for disaster, and then he will likely get hurt, and then it could spell the end of his superstardom, and so that is what concerns me. But we'll see. He is in the same vein that we did look at Troy Polamalu. Didn't say much. He wasn't much of a speaker, but when he was on the field, we all paid attention to him. I can't wait to see this guy, whether he's starting or sitting on the sidelines. If Tua starts the season on the bench, anytime Fitzpatrick makes a mistake, there could be a call to sub in the former Alabama star from the sideline. Since NFL broadcasts are a television entertainment event, Burleson is not off the mark suggesting that cameras will be on Tua every move when Fitzpatrick is succeeding or struggling during games. According to a report from the Sun Sentinel, Tua made his move to South Florida and his hip recovery progress was much better than normal. He's doing miraculously well, Kevin Wilk, a renowned physical therapist in the sports world who has been working with Tua at the Champion Sports Medicine facility in Birmingham, Alabama, said. The miraculous part is that he's healed so well. The second part is he's been doing so well at getting his strength back, which usually takes a long time after something like this. So pause right there for a quick second. That's good. All of that's wonderful. And that shows credit to him for his dedication and his work ethic and all of that. And that's fabulous. The problem is this dude is unquestionably injury prone. So when he gets into live action where he's getting pummeled by guys, how is he going to stand up to that? And unfortunately, as it stands right now and until proven otherwise, and the only way to prove it is going to be games played without him getting injured, especially even if the offensive line isn't playing well and he has to, take some beatings. He has to prove that he's not going to continue to get injured. But unfortunately, his entire history is strongly going to suggest otherwise. Like I said, until proven that it's not. So if Tua is able to play right away, some analysts say the Dolphins should embrace the youth movement and start their new franchise quarterback right away due to his potential. One of those is Fox Sports host Colin Cowherd, who explained why on his radio show last week. Now, this is one of these things where I believe I see it differently today than I did a couple of years ago. I think it's time to play Tua, Cowherd said. But see, and real quick, this would be an example. Now, I haven't followed every, analyst and blah 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 and what they've been saying about this, but if he's right about this and that he's changed his stance, this would be an example of somebody drinking the Kool-Aid or falling into the fucking the trap, right? Because look, man, I'm telling you this, and we've seen this before time and time again with players that have serious injuries and are injury prone, etc. If they put him in, especially this year without, the regular off-season program, mini camps are now canceled, right? There's not going to be that continuity. So even if, Solomon Kinley and Robert Hunt and, whatever, Austin Jackson, if these guys, and if Michael Dieter cannot be trash in his second season, right? But if all these guys are eventually the right guys, they're not going to be the right guys in year one. They're just not, because they're all going to be like rookies, or Dieter's going to be a second year guy. The offseason program is completely jacked up if there's going to, and there might not be a season at all. They got like an entirely new team, almost an entirely new coaching staff with new schemes. It's impossible to think that day one, game one, they are going to have a level of continuity that is going to provide them the ability to play at a high level against the level of competition that they will be facing in the NFL. It's just unimaginable. So if they start him in the first game, if they fall into the hype, and if they get into training camp and he's moving around really well and blah, 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 and they fall into that and they drink the Kool-Aid and put him in game one, there is a significant possibility that he will get injured. And so, again, that's my big fear. I don't know that it's going to happen for sure, because I don't know that they are going to put him in, and I don't know how well the offensive line is going to play, et cetera, et cetera. But those are my concerns, and those are my fears based off of the information that I have. And if those things happen, and to this point, the Dolphins so far have proven me right on a lot of things over the past year and a half. But if they prove me right about this, and they play him week one, and then he gets injured, it's going to be a massive disaster. I was always somebody in the, what's the rush on this stuff? Bring them in, let them watch, let them play. I'm always about that. You guys know my philosophy. Like, I take a way different approach on the quarterback position, as you guys know, than the current NFL stands. And the current NFL is like, all you need is a quarterback. He has to be a franchise guy. You got to get him high in the draft to guarantee that. And he's got to be like a generational talent. He's got to be a Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady or whatever. But he has to be drafted high in the first round. And that's all you need is a quarterback. And then the rest of your team's going to fall into line somehow magically. No. That's been undeniably proven wrong time and time again, yet still for some reason that's what everybody, the philosophy everybody adheres to. Me, I would never take a quarterback in rounds 1 or 2, but take one every year in round 3 or later. And then I would always unquestionably let them sit and redshirt their first season. No rookie quarterback would ever play his rookie season if it was me. So that's just how I would do it. But anyway, 4 or 5 things are now happening in the National Football League, and they've happened over the last 4 or 5 years, and I've become more of a draft them and let them play guy. Well, I mean, sure, you're kind of a moron, because again, there are like a million times more examples of how that philosophy proves to be a massive failure. And then, because look, even Patrick Mahomes sat for a year behind Alex Smith. Anyway, so look, that's that. I think it's great that Tua is recovering really well, but I always take that with a major grain of salt, because there have just been too many examples of those situations coming about where, oh, he's healing so well, and then the player gets re-injured because they rush them back. I mean, you see it all the time with smaller injuries, right? Or with like soft tissue injuries, muscle injuries, right? Like calf issues or whatever. You'll constantly see guys get injured from that, and then they'll be like, held off on the sideline for a week or two, and then they'll be put back in, and then they'll get injured again, because you end up realizing at the back end is that they ended up needing a third week or whatever. They ended up needing more time than they were given, but since that player, was needed, or they needed bodies, or they're a superstar or whatever, they ended up rushed back in, and then end up getting hurt again. Or they just don't perform, as well as they were, and you can see it. Like, how many times have you heard, sportscasters be like, oh man, you can really see that he's not playing at 100%, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, I just don't think it's a good idea, but again, I don't have the power or ability to make that call. So we'll see what they do, and then we'll go from there. Anyway, with that, I'm going to get up out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed my videos and perspective. and I hope you appreciate it. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Phins up.